Hi, this is Sujita. Welcome to the Focus Net JRF English Literature channel. Today we are going to see Anglo-Norman or else Middle English period. We are just going to see the history, the social history of England that happened during Anglo-Norman or else it is also called as Middle English period. Okay, let's go into the video. So Edward the First, he is English king. So he is the grandson of King Alfred. He is an Anglo-Saxon king, Edward the First. Okay, so he is the grandson of King Alfred. I already told you in the previous video who is King Alfred. So Edward the First was grandson of King Alfred. So he is the one who builds the Westminster Abbey, which we know, where all the poets and the great people lying down. Okay, so Edward the First, he promised William, he is the Duke of Normandy, the English throne. Okay, so Edward the First had promised William the Conqueror, I mean. So he promised him the throne, but Harold, he is the leader of English nobles. So he, after the death of Edward the First, he took the throne. So Battle of Hastings happens, and William the Conqueror, he defeats Harold, and he was crowned as a king on 1066, and that's how the Norman dynasty began. Okay, so Edward the First, he is a grandson of King Alfred. So he promised the William the Conqueror the throne, but Harold, who is the leader of English nobles, he tried to take up the throne, and so in the Battle of Hastings, William the Conqueror defeats Harold, and he was crowned as king on 1066, and that's how the Anglo-Norman dynasty it begins. Okay, got it? So now the William Conqueror's period. So he was somewhat good. He brought some reform system. So one of his reform system was feudal system. Feudal system means distribution of land among the lords and barons. Okay, so he gave the lands to the barons on condition that they would be faithful to him, and they would also help him in the upcoming wars. Okay, he made an agreement to the people whom he gave lands. Okay, and he also kept a record called Doomsday Book. Okay, it's a record, and the record's name is Doomsday Book. So in it, he record each and every important information about every single land of the England. So whom he gave the land, to which baron he gave, and the baron gave to whom. So all those things, every single detail he had written in this Doomsday's book. Okay, that's how William Conqueror is. And he died in 1087. So let's see who comes next. So after William the First, William the Second comes. He ruled from 1087 till 1100. Okay, he is called as William Rufus. Okay, William Rufus. He is very cruel, and he actually died mysteriously. Nothing more important about him. So next comes Henry the First. He from 1100 to 1135 he rules, and then came Stephen of Anjou. He ruled from 1135 to 1154. Okay, next come Henry the Second. Henry the Second is 1154 to 1189. So in this period, there is an important event that happened during Henry the Second's reign. Thing is that Henry the Second, he had a quarrel with Thomas Becket. You know who's Thomas Becket, right? Thomas Becket is connected to the Canterbury Tales of Chaucer. So Chaucer and other pilgrims, they went on a pilgrimage to Canterbury, where the shrine of Thomas A. Becket is there, right? So the same Thomas Becket is here. So King Henry the Second, he is having a quarrel with Thomas Becket. Okay, so he is actually an Archbishop of Canterbury. So what are they quarreling is that they are having a power struggle between the state, which means the king's power. King is greater than church, or church is greater than king. So that's what the power struggle is about. What happened is that in between there was a problem in which king has to he is giving a a sentence for a person, and church, the Thomas Becket, he is interfering that it is the church who should give the punishment to the person and not the king. Okay, so in that struggle, Henry unknowingly he tells to kill the Thomas Becket. He is not me. He doesn't mean that. Okay, he doesn't mean to kill Thomas Becket, but in angry he said that word. But the knights, they took it very seriously and they went to Thomas Becket, who was praying in the church, and they killed him. Okay, so no, it created so much problem among the nation or along the nation. And so afterwards, he Henry the Fourth, he repents that what he did, what mistake, and then he then this Thomas Becket was considered as a saint, and a cathedral was built in Canterbury, which contained his tomb. Okay, so and that's how Chaucer and other pilgrims they go for the other pilgrims they go for the pilgrimage to the Canterbury's. Okay, Canterbury. Okay. So next come the Richard the First. He ruled from 1189 to 1199. So he is called as Richard the Lionheart. So who is Richard First? He is called as a Richard the Lionheart. Okay. So he took part in the Third Crusade. You want to know what is crusade? Let me go to the next slide. So what is crusades actually? Crusades means it's a military expeditions undertaken by the European powers between the 11th century and the 14th century. Okay. So, Jesus Christ was born and he lived and he was died for the sake of the people. So those places were considered to be where Jesus Christ lived, considered to be very holy places. So by years it was taken over by many other many other rulers, even the Muslims. Okay, so the Crusaders, what they did is that they go to the country and they recover the holy places where Jesus Christ lived his earthly life. Okay, so that's what the Crusades is about, because they in their clothes, they were sworn with cross, and that's why it is called as Crusades. Okay, so totally 4 crusades has happened so far. So the first crusade has happened in 1019, where Jerusalem was recovered by the Crusaders. Okay, so second crusade that happened in 1144, and the third crusade 1187. Sultan Saladin of Syria, he took away the Jerusalem, which was recovered in the first crusade. So third crusade happened to undertake, which was undertaken by Richard II, Philip II of France, and the Emperor Frederick I of Persia. So all these 3 people, they went to recover the Jerusalem, which was conquered by the Sultan Saladin of Syria. Okay, so that's how the 3 crusades happened. And now comes King John. He is the brother of Richard I. Okay, so his period is of misrule. Many problems happened between the barons. Okay, so they were not king and the barons were not in good company. So they want to make peace with the barons. The king want to make peace with the rebel barons, and so the king, he signed a document, and that document is called Magna Carta. I'm sorry. The document is called as Magna Carta. Why it is called as Magna Carta? Because it was a great charter. A charter means it's an agreement, but it's a long charter, and that's why it is called Magna Carta. Okay, it's a long one, biggest one, and so it is called as Magna Carta. So you understand? So King John is having problem with the barons. They were not good together. So King John wants to make peace with the rebel barons, and the rebel barons, they made some documents and they made the king to sign so that they can be peace with each other. Okay, and that document is called as Magna Carta. And so this was signed in 15th June 1215, and it was actually written by Archbishop of Canterbury, and King John agreed to sign it, and that's how they made peace. Okay. So what all the what are the agreement they made? I have written some 2 agreement here. So the king promised the protection of church rights. Okay, and the protection of barons from illegal imprisonment. So all these things had happened, and that's why they have written the document to make peace. And this Magna Carta, it's been become a part of English political life actually. So they take it as a constitution of themselves. So it became a part of English political life. And each monarch, whenever a monarch come to rule, he renew the Magna Carta, and they use it actually for long years. Okay, so let's go to the next. Henry the Third comes. So he is the eldest son of King John, and there is three famous things. He is famous for three things. Okay, let's see the first one. He built the churches. He has built many churches. Okay, Henry the Third, he built many churches, including the Westminster Abbey. I already told you that Edward the Third had built Westminster Abbey, but the present Westminster Abbey that you can see in England was built by Henry the Third, which means it was in the place where Edward the Confessor built the Westminster Abbey. He had, we can say that he had redesigned it or something like that. Okay, so Edward the Confessor was the first one to build Westminster Abbey, and Henry the Third, he redesigned it or remade it. Okay, the Westminster Abbey. So the present one, which was the present Westminster Abbey, was built by Henry the Third. Got it? Let's go to the next famous thing that he is for. The advent of Dominican monks and the Franciscan friars. He brought these two people to England, and this made an effective role in the religious and the social life of the country. Okay, so these two people, they this Dominican monks, they wear black cloak, and that's why they are called as Black Friars. And the Franciscan friars, they wore gray cloaks, and that's why they are called as Grey Friars. Okay, so these two people, they made an effective role in religious as well as social life. Even the Franciscan friars, they were good at medicine. They even one of the Franciscan friar, he learned at Oxford, and he was good at medicine, and he did a great work for in the medical department. Okay, so these two people brought by Henry the Third, which was very good for England in the religious wise and social wise also. The next one is he summoned the first parliament. Look at that. He summoned the first parliament, and the first parliament was called as House of Commons, which means House of Common People. When did it happen? In 1265. Okay, so this was actually plan of kings Henry III's brother-in-law, Simon de Montfort. Okay, so he was the one who planned all these things, and Henry made it possible. Okay, what are they going to do is that they are going to select a two representative to join the barons and the bishop in their deliberations. So in the deliberations of the barons and the bishops, so they are going to join two more common people to join with the barons and bishop in their deliberations. So that is why they had created this House of Commons, and they are going to bring two representatives from the common people. Okay, got it? So the next comes the Edward the First. So he is the son of Henry the Third, and he summons model parliament. So this person, Henry the Third, his father, he summons first parliament that only contain House of Commons. Okay, so his son Edward the First, he summons model parliament, which means he brought two kind of parliament, which like what we have, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. For Rajya Sabha is called as upper house, and the Lok Sabha is called as a lower house, which means the House of Common People. Okay, so likewise this Edward the First, he also summons modern parliament, which consisting of House of Lords, which contains earls, barons, all those people are upper class people, and and these people were nominated by the king, straightly by the king. And this another house is that House of Commons that his father initiated. So these people, the House of Commons, were elected by the people. Got it? Now comes Edward II. He is the son of Edward I. He made effort to conquer Scotland. Okay, but they succeeded, and they had frequent fights between England and Scotland. Okay, next comes Edward III. He in his period, it is the beginning. His period is the beginning of the 100 years of war. You know what is 100 years of war, right? We will see it in the next slides. So Edward the Third's period is the beginning of the 100 years of war. Okay, so it's happened between England and France. Let's see what happens in 100 year of war. So 100 years of war. What is the reason for 100 years of war? So Philip of France, he supported Scotland. I already told you here, Edward II, he made to conquer Scotland, and Scott succeeds, and there were frequent fights between Scotland and England. But see here, this Philip of France, he supported Scotland. Okay, so England is in war with Scotland, but Philip of France, he supported Scotland, and that's why that might have created the 100 years of war. The next reason is the interference of England and France in the internal affairs of Flanders because of their rival interest in that region. So they were rivalry about that region, and so they interfered, and that might have created the 100 years of war. The third reason is that Edward III claimed the throne of France through his mother Isabella. So Isabella is from France. She is a princess of France. So she gave birth to Edward III, and now Edward III is in throne. He is also claiming the throne of France now because her mother is from France. So that might also had created a problem between England and France, and that's how the 100 years of war started. Got the reasons. Now let's see what happens in the 100 years of war. So the first stage, let's see the first stage, what all happens in the first stage or the first timeline period. So first, the sea battle of the Flemish port of Sluis in 1340. So the truce that followed for 6 years. So they battled in the Flemish port, okay, in 1340, and then there is a truce. Truce means they made an agreement to what can I say? To take rest, I mean, for 6 years, okay. So they were agreed to be friends for 6 years, and then they battled again, okay. And the second battle happens, and they fought at Crecy in 1346, and in this battle England they won, okay. So now actually in the second battle, who is the leader? The leader is Black Prince. So Black Prince is the king's eldest son. Black Prince is king's eldest son, okay. He was the one who lead the battle, and England won. So in 1347, King Edward, he took Calais. Calais is a place. So he took Calais in the through the war, and they kept that for 1 year. Okay, they retained Calais for 1 year, and then another battle came for Battle of Poitiers in 1358. And here Black Prince, he defeated the French, and he took their king a prisoner. Okay. And how the first stage end is that they made a treaty of Calais. So in that treaty, Edward, I told you that he claimed the throne of France because his mother is from France. Okay, so he gave up his claim on French throne, and they were also allowed to possess the England people. They were was also allowed to possess some territories from France. Okay, they made an agreement like that, but still they were not good with each other, and so they had only Calais and Bordeaux as their possessions. Okay, so other territories which were given to them in the agreement, it was not properly given to them. Still they were fighting with each other, but very they were fighting with each other. Okay, so let's see the second part. In the second part, Henry V comes, Henry VI comes. So Henry V, like Edward III, he also claimed the French throne. At least Edward III is third's mother is from France, but Henry IV is not like that. Okay, he is not at all related to France. So, but then he also claimed like Edward III. Okay, so in 1415, Henry V, he led a well-trained army into France, and he won a battle at Agincourt. Okay. So according to the Treaty of Troyes in 1420, they made a treaty now too in 1420. So Henry V was to marry French King Charles' daughter. So who was the king of France now? Charles. So in the treaty, they made Henry V to marry his daughter. and he was also the treaty was also said that he can rule the France after Charles' death, after the king's death. Okay, but you know what happened? Henry V was so happy because he got the hand of Charles' daughter, and he was able to rule France after the Charles' death. But what happened is that both Charles and Henry V, they died in next 2 years. Okay, so now so baby son of Henry V proclaimed the king of England as well as France. So for two countries, a baby is made a king. Okay, so now King Charles' son, Dauphin, he was against the baby son of Henry V. Okay, but you know, some powerful Frenchmen, they were on the side of Henry V, and so the English king, the Henry V, the baby son, Henry the son, baby son of Henry V, he remained powerful because some Frenchmen also, the French people also helped the baby son of Henry V. Okay, so and you know many French provinces to fall into the hands of England now because they were very powerful now. The baby son of Henry V and the people were very powerful because they were also supported by the French people, and so Frenchmen, some Frenchmen, not French people, the elite classes, the French people, they were supporting Henry, the son of Henry V, and so they were very powerful. Even the provinces of French fall into the hands of England. Okay. So now comes the Joan of Arc. You know, Dauphin, the son of Charles, he tried to win over the son of Henry V, but he couldn't do anything. And even the soldiers, they were very discouraged because they have come into the hands of England, and the king was a baby. You know, it was so disheartened to them. But now comes the Joan of Arc, a peasant girl, aged just 17. She's from eastern France. She infused courage into the soldiers who were demoralized by frequent defeats. They were frequently defeated by the England people. So they were demoralized. They were not consistent. They were not what to say, they were not encourageable. They were so saddened because what happened to their country under the hands of England. So this peasant girl, she infused courage into the soldiers. She took up the leadership of French army and defeated the English in the Battle of Patay in 1429. Okay, so now Dauphin was crowned king, the King Charles the Seventh. So he was Dauphin, the king of Charles, the son of King of Charles. He crowned, and he is called as King Charles the Seventh now. Okay, so Joan of Arc, what happened to her? She was captured by the Burgundies. Look at that. She was captured by Burgundies, and they sold her to the English. And what did English do to her? The England, they accused her of witchcraft. Look at that. This is the brand name given to any woman at that time when she is victorious, or when a girl is brilliant, or when a girl is so victorious. You know, this was a brand name given to the women or a girl. So she is also branded as witchcraft. That's a witch. Okay. So with the connivance of the French Archbishop Caution, she was burnt to death in the marketplace of Rouen on 29th May 1431. And you know, one of the England soldier, seeing her being burnt to death, he said that we have killed a saint. Look at that. Even an English soldier was weeping for her death. Okay, so even though they killed her or they burnt her to death, Joan of Arc, they could not destroy the spirit of nationalism and the patriotism. She inspired them into the French people. Okay, so France, they fought for 2 decades, and now after the 2 decades, the English lost all their territories except the Calais. I told you already, this is a place. So this happened in 1453. Okay, after the death of Joan of Arc, the French, they fought for 2 decades to bring back the country and to give it as a present to Joan of Arc. Okay, so the English lost all the territories except Calais in 1453, and now the Joan of Arc is considered to be a creator of modern France because she gave the spirit of nationalism and the patriotism into the soldiers, and they fought bravely and they bring back their country. Okay, so she is the creator of modern France. Okay. Next comes the Black Death. It swept over the Europe, okay, and then it reached England in 1348. So half of the population perished. They died. Half of the population. Look at that. And this happened because of the black variety of rats. This plague, it was caused by the black variety of rats. Even Black Prince, the brave prince, he died due to plague. Okay, so sad. And half the population, they were perished. And now comes Richard II, the son of Black Prince. Black Prince was so great. Okay, so look at how Richard II is. He is only 10. Okay, because the Black Prince died of plague. So Richard II was made king, and he was only 10 at that time. And what is the biggest event that happened during his time? That Peasants' Revolt, 1381. Peasants' Revolt. So the peasants, they were given, they were pressured up with so many taxes for each and everything. So people, the peasant people, they for the first time they spoke for their rights, and the peasants from Kent, Sussex and other places, they meet at Smithfield under the leadership of Wat Tyler. So Wat Tyler is the one who spoke against the tax that been laid upon them. So Wat Tyler, he made all the peasants from Kent, Sussex and other places, he made them to meet at Smithfield, and they were protesting then against the government. Okay, so now there is no way King Richard as well as the Mayor of London, they came to meet these people, and while they were arguing, Mayor, he killed Wat Tyler while they were arguing. Okay, so people were very angry against the mayor as well as the king, and they created much problem. And in the meantime, king somehow escaped, telling that they will be his leader and he will solve all the problems that the peasant has, and that's how he escaped from that place. But then whenever the peasant goes to the king, telling that they're having a problem, and whenever they are asking him to solve a problem, he just drove them away. Okay, so he did not keep his word. That's how Richard II was. So, but Black Prince was so great. His father was so great. Okay. Next come the Lancastrians and Yorkists. By this two name, you might have known that War of Roses is coming. Okay, so Lancastrians and the Yorkist kings, the 1399 till 1485, they both, like one king from Lancastrian, the next year Yorkists will be there. So let's see who is Lancastrians. They are the descendants of John of Gaunt. He is the Duke of Lancaster, and that's why it is called Lancastrian. So he is the he is the third son of Edward III. Okay, so he is called a John of Gaunt. He is a third son of Edward III. Okay, so three kings comes under Lancastrian who ruled the England. The first one is Henry IV from 1399 to 1413. Next come Henry V from 1430 to 1422. Next come Henry VI, 1422 to 1461. Okay. So who is Yorkist? Yorkist is the descendants of Duke of York. He is another son of Edward III. Okay. So John of Gaunt and Duke of York, they are brothers. Okay. So so these are the three kings that come under Yorkist who ruled England: Edward IV, Edward V, and then Richard III. So Henry VI, he comes in the middle. He was restored for only a year. Okay. So he defeats Henry IV and he comes in between to rule. But then he could only rule for 1 year because he was imprisoned by Edward, and he was also killed. Okay. And then after Edward IV, Edward V, his son comes. He also ruled for only 1 year because he's such a baby at that time. And the next is Richard III. So he ruled from 1483 to 1485. So this is the timeline of the timeline where Lancastrian and Yorkist kings, they ruled England. So, War of Roses happened. So, War of Roses is from 1455 to 1485. So, this happened in between Yorkist and the Lancastrian. I mean the brothers. Okay. So, Yorkists, they wore white roses, and Lancastrians, they wore red roses. Okay. That's why it is called as the War of Roses. Now, this is a civil war, kind of a civil war, but it is not like the civil war that happened during the Charles first period. Though in those times, civil war means everyone, even the people and everyone in the country, they affected by the war. But here, only the nobles and the dependents of the nobles, they were engaged in war. It happened during, even it happened during 30, even it lasted for 3 years. Only the nobles and their dependents, they engaged in war, not the peoples. Okay, the people were not affected by this civil war. Okay, so how it ended? The Henry Tudor, he is the last king. So he killed Richard III, and he became the king of England. And next the Tudor dynasty begins. Okay, and that end Henry Tudor, he killed Richard III, and he became the king of England. And afterwards Tudor dynasty begins. Okay, we'll see in the next video. So this is how the Normans, the French people, they invaded, and that's how all the things happened in the throughout the history of England. Okay, so in the next video I'll be giving the literature that happened during the Anglo-Norman period. Okay, so I hope you have understand what I have taught you so far.